What is going on, everyone? It's your guy, Cole Jackson, back here on Road Graders, brought to you today on the Russell Street Report with a new product that we're running this preseason called the Ravens Stock Watch, where we are going to go through the Ravens depth chart, take a look at last week, see whose stock went up, whose stock went down as we witness the battle for the final 53. Before we jump into it, we want to thank the sponsors of this series, Jimmy's Famous Seafood. They're coming up with the Meet the Birds event with Mike Green. I'm going to give you a spoiler alert right now. His stock has gone up, and you can get out there to meet the man himself on August 29th at 7 p.m. I'll drop the link down below to get tickets. If I was in Baltimore, I would most definitely be there. Now, before we jump into it, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit subscribe if you're new here, and drop a comment down below as we go through this, and you let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with. Let's have a discussion down in the comments. Let's jump right into it. So we're going to start on the offensive side of the ball, taking a look at the skill positions and starting with one that didn't surprise me and one that surprised me. And that is going to be the backup running back situation, which I thought came out with two stock ups. Keaton Mitchell, obviously, looked himself again. Very exciting for Ravens fans. We all remember 2 years ago what juice he could bring. He was doing it in relief of Gus Edwards, and now we're going to see him mixing in with Derrick Henry, which is basically Gus Edwards on steroids. And so I'm very excited to see this kind of dynamic. And Keaton Mitchell is one of those guys that doesn't need a lot of snaps. I know I've gone back and forward on Twitter about this, and it's kind of funny. If you go look at his snaps in 2023, he had like 8 or 9 carries, in every single game. In this game, he had 9 carries, and that is probably a little higher than what I'd expect this season. It's going to be probably in that 5, 6, 7 range, but he can take 9 carries and turn it into 68 yards and a touchdown and a 23-yard touchdown. That's just what Keaton Mitchell brings to this offense. And you saw it. You saw the juice. You saw that he looks back to his pre-injury self. Very, very good news for the Baltimore Ravens. And a guy that I need to give credit to because I was very low on, Rasheen Ali, coming out and having himself a very solid game, had a 19-yard run, which was a very solid effort, and then a 2-yard touchdown. It finishes with 9 carries for 37 yards, a solid 4.1 average. I'm expecting to see him probably, they brought in Myles Gaskin. They have D'Ernest Johnson in there as well, a couple guys that are just kind of camp bodies. One of them, whoever kind of wins that battle between Johnson and Gaskin, will probably be the practice squad back that they keep around. But I think Ali is really doing a good job to make the Ravens carry 4 running backs into this season. And it's good to see from a guy that was a draft pick, right? We want to see these guys succeed. We want to see us get some value out of them. And, if injuries stack up, which pray to God they don't, we may need Rasheen Ali down the road. Moving on, LeJounte Wester. Wow, what a debut for the 6th-round wide receiver out of the University of Colorado, a guy that really needed to thrive on special teams. I don't know necessarily to make the roster. I think he was probably going to make the team, but definitely needed to make an impact on special teams to be active on game day. And I mean, anything can happen over the next 2 games. He could, fumble a pump, muff a pump, whatever it is. But he looks locked in as the starting punt returner, which means not only is he on the 53, but he's going to be active on game day. Just what a debut for him. He also had 2 catches for 41 yards, one of them being a 30-yard catch. So, I'm not expecting a major impact on the receiving side, but it is good to see that, right? And then three returns for 104 yards, including an 87-yard touchdown, which was chef kiss thing of beauty. Then we get into the negative side, and the guys that I leave white or blank are just kind of like, not up or down. And I saw some people a little bit negative towards Tez Walker. I think people were expecting him to really shine. But the reason I'm not going to be too harsh on him is simply because of the red here, and that is stock down on Cooper Rush and Devin Leary. Devin Leary looked terrible. 3 for 12, 43 yards and an interception. Cooper Rush, 2 for 4 and an interception for 16 yards. The backup quarterback position did not look good. I'm a little weird on backup quarterbacks because I just believe strongly if the Baltimore Ravens lose Lamar Jackson for a significant period of time, how many guys can come in and replace what Lamar Jackson's bringing to this team? Like, obviously you saw Cooper Rush, in the past get the Cowboys a couple wins when Dak Prescott got hurt. that's ideally what you're hoping for. But my God, Cooper Rush better show up and do something a little bit different in week 2 because they're paying him a good chunk of money. And he didn't look good. Devin Leary didn't look like an NFL level quarterback. I really don't expect them to carry 3 QBs. I guess with the new, I'd have to look at the practice squad rule. If you get a free elevation, however it works, he'll probably kick around. But, it might be worth looking around at some of the quarterbacks getting cut and seeing if there's a third quarterback over there because Devin Leary ain't it. Then we move on to the offensive line. And this line, I thought, had a really solid day. Obviously, we'll get into Daniel Falele here in a minute. But only one pressure allowed by Nick Samac and Gerard Litchin. The pressure that Samac allowed, it was a sack. Other than that, you had guys like Vincent, Voorhees, Dalcourt, Bullock, Noteboom. They went with shutouts, no pressures allowed. I'll kind of go across. I'll start with Voorhees. Actually, I did a film breakdown on him on Sunday. I thought he looked really good. A couple things I'd like to see him clean up a little bit, but in terms of from the start of last year to now, noticeable improvement, a lot better use of leverage, driving through the play side shoulder, a little things that I think really need to improve. I've seen makes me feel really good about that left guard position going into week 1. And then you get Carson Vincent, who, he definitely had some reps where he's struggling, and I'm going to do a film breakdown probably Wednesday, maybe Tuesday, depending when I can get to him, because I really want to focus on his technique. I guess I have him green because of expectations. He did better than I was expecting. There's still a lot of things that I know George Warhop is going to be working on with him, but overall, I thought he was solid. Then you got Darian Dalcourt, Corey Bullock, guys that are around for a second preseason with the Baltimore Ravens. I thought both of them looked solid. Corey Bullock getting that first team center over Nick Samac, I think, was very interesting. I'll have to flip Dalcourt and Bullock, and I might have to move Bullock over Samac because Bullock may be the second center right now. And I thought Bullock looked really solid, and so did Dalcourt. So guys that, if we can't figure out this right guard position, they may factor in. And then the last guy to touch on, Joe Noteboom, obviously, the swing tackle they brought in from the Rams. I thought he looked solid. A couple snaps I didn't like, but in terms of a swing tackle, he played both sides of the football in terms of left tackle and right tackle, and I felt pretty good about where he was at physically. I feel like he could definitely make an impact if called on this year, and it really it really insulates Carson Vincent from having to start in case, God forbid, something happens to Ronnie Stanley early in the season. And then the red, Daniel Falele, or Falele. Sorry, I know some people get frustrated. I always pronounce it wrong. So Daniel Falele, just it was 12 snaps. I know you guys can say it was 12 snaps. It's preseason. Who cares? But he's going up against the second team Colts D line. He gets run over. 4 of his 5 pass sets just look sloppy again with sloppy technique. And a lot of this is just built up frustration because there's just little things I want to see him do, and that are basic coaching things. I have no doubt that George Warhop's telling him. George Warhop has forgotten more than I'll ever know about football. So I don't think it's a coaching issue. I think Falele gets out there and he just can't implement what he's being taught. Ben Cleveland, I left white. I'm not as high on him as some folks were. I did a film breakdown on him pretty in depth, showing some of the concerns I still have, especially around effort and finishing through the whistle. It just frustrates the hell out of me. With a guy with his physical stature, he should be bearing dudes every chance he gets. But I've moved him over to the right guard spot. I don't know if the Ravens are going to, but I want him competing at that right guard spot. Let Dellinger back up Voorhees. Let him get some earlier snaps. My God, give Falele and Cleveland, get them into a battle. Give Falele the first quarter on Saturday. Give Ben Cleveland the second quarter. Let's go, snap for snap, series for series. Let's get a real battle going here. On to the defensive side of the ball, and we have to start with this pass rush because, my God, was it ever impressive. Adisa Isaac, David Ojabo, and you can see Owe Robinson and Van Noy didn't play, so those 3 are locked. Will the Baltimore Ravens keep 6 pass rushers? I mean, Ojabo and Isak didn't really give you a good reason to cut them. So, I think the Ravens are going to be in a really interesting spot. You look at pressures, both Ojabo and Isak had 3 each. Mike Green also had 3. That's 9 between the 3 players. They just were killing the Colts offensive tackles. I was talking to Zach Hicks, who kind of does what I do for the Colts. And, he was just like, our tackles were getting killed early in this game. And it was those 3, the rotation of them. has to make you very excited. I'm really excited about what I saw from David Ojabo. A lot of pressure going into this preseason. Could be staring down the barrel of being cut, and I think he gave the Ravens a reason in game one to keep him and keep 6 outside linebackers. And then we have to talk about the butcher, K'Mon Rucker, who had 4 pressures in this game, absolutely dominated the fourth quarter. Uphill battle just in terms of the numbers. Maybe you see Ojabo get traded. Maybe you see Isak get traded and they go 6 and keep a guy like Rucker. But nonetheless, I think he'll be on the practice squad. But this edge group looked very good in this game. I hope that continues because Lord knows we need a diverse edge game. And I think what you're seeing from this depth on the edge is a reason to move Tavius Robinson inside on passing downs. You get Matabike kind of playing as a 2-tech on one side. You get Tavius Robinson as, a 4-eye technique. You're spreading out that D-line, and then you get, a combination of Owe, Mike Green, Kyle Van Noy, David Ojabo, those guys, factoring in, rotating in as true edge rushers. I think that could become a very dangerous pass rush at the disposal of Zach Orr. So really excited what I saw from these young pass rushers. You can't be anything but happy with what we saw there. Getting into the interior D-line, coming out at noon today will be a film breakdown on, I have C. Okoye. We got to figure out what name he's going by. Last year was CJ Okoye. This year it looks like Basil Okoye. I believe his first name, his Nigerian first name is Chijoke Okoye. So I got to get that figured out. But my God, this kid looked good. I jump into that film breakdown when it comes out because I am very excited about what this kid put on film. I think he's going to steal that backup nose tackle position. Then you look at Anise Peoples and CJ Ravenel, 2 guys. Ravenel, I believe, had 4 pressures to tie K'Mon Rucker for the team lead, and he made an impact. And I remember hearing Jay-Z last year talking about what an impact Ravenel made in training camp, and then you see him doing it again this year. So keep an eye on CJ Ravenel. And suddenly, this defensive line group that seems shallow looks decently deep. Then you look at John Jenkins and Jason Jones, 2 guys that I thought were ahead of Okoye, and I think Okoye is going to snatch that backup spot to Travis Jones from them. John Jenkins came in, looked like a guy. He looked like a nose tackle that'll plug a lane. Not bad, not good, but Okoye looks like a guy that can stack and shed, and that gets me pretty excited. So I'm really interested to see what they do there. And then looking at the linebacker position, I gave greens to Martin and Higgins. Higgins, I thought, looked phenomenal in this game. Teddy Buchanan, a lot of the concerns I had with Buchanan, a lot of the ones I identified in my post-draft breakdown, he was getting pushed around in the run game, didn't do enough in the pass game to mask that. He just didn't look ready yet. I really think he needs a year in an NFL weight room. I think you'll get some special teams value out of him, but Jay Higgins looked like the real deal. He was flying around, and I'm very excited to dive into his film. We'll probably do that Tuesday, and then the edge rushers Wednesday. Maybe that's what we'll do. Drop a comment down below and let me know what you guys want to see first. I left Trent Simpson white, and that's because there were some things I liked and some things I didn't like, but overall, I felt okay about his game. He didn't blow me away to get him into the green. Off 44 snaps, I really would have preferred to be blown away, especially against, the second team Colts offense. But, he just didn't do it in the run game for me. But overall, not bad by any means. Just to be clear, not bad by any means. He definitely looked physical and fast, but he looked like that last year, and I really want to focus in on his keys because I still think, a lot of false steps in his game that once you get into the regular season against starters, I think those kind of, get pointed out a little bit more. Getting into the defensive backfield, not a whole lot to say here. I think TJ Tampa and Jalen Armour-Davis, great debuts for them, and thank God because Bilal Cohn gets hurt early, and it sucks because Cohn in his snaps, he looked really good, like really good. In fact, the rep that he got hurt on was a hell of a rep to break up an end zone target against Adonai Mitchell, and so that's just devastating. I feel for Cohn. Hope he gets healthy. We just heard yesterday Longer Beam ending up on, so that's why they're red. Just to be clear, it wasn't from their play; it's from just them being injured. So Longer Beam goes to IR as well. So the 2 rookie corners that the Ravens brought in going to IR. Ruben Lowry is a guy that I think is going to, take Longer Beam's spot as the backup slot to Marlon Humphrey. Lowry, he wasn't bad by any means, didn't pop the way I was kind of expecting. I think I had pretty high expectations for him, and that was, really what factored into it. But Armour-Davis and Tampa really looked good. looks like good depth behind, the quartet of Wiggins, Humphrey, Alexander, and Awuzie. I think we're in a good spot. Tampa and Armour Davis kind of, rounding out. Just stay healthy, lads. Just stay healthy. And then the safeties. I was expecting a little bit more from Jackson. I thought Sanusi Kane looked pretty good. I thought Bo Braid looked pretty good, but just no splashes or anything. I mean, this was a quick pass offense. Daniel Jones didn't push the ball down the field at all, so they weren't really challenged. So not a whole lot to say there. I didn't really have a takeaway about the defensive backfield outside of the corner. So, and I thought Malachi Starks, he looked okay. He wasn't really challenged. Had a couple solid reps, had a couple that he'll need to clean up. We'll probably do a week 2 film room that includes week 1 snaps, just because there wasn't enough this week to really dive into them. So that's what I have for you guys on the Stock Watch here on the Russell Street Report, brought to you by Jimmy's Seafood. Do me a favor, hit that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown. Hit subscribe if you're new here. Drop a comment down below, and let's talk about it. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Peace out, everyone.